Hello, Nursing 720 students. I just wanted to review with you Module 6. It's hard to believe that we only have 3 more modules to go, and then you are completely finished with this class, and I'm sure all of you cannot wait for the endpoint. So there are a couple of TED Talks videos throughout the module. The first one here is when you first click into the module. It's a TED Talks regarding what makes us feel good about our work. I think you'll find this very insightful. And then let's go ahead and go into the content folder, and this is where you'll find the other TED Talk video, Advice to a Young Scientist. It's one of my favorite TED Talks. There are 2 chapters in your Terry text I would like for you to go over, chapters 9 and 10. And Amanda Cordy and Kendra put together a really great overview of chapter 9, and then Sage, Dana, and Simone did a nice overview of chapter 10. So please review those presentations. Your colleagues did a great job with this. The next item is just a very brief, kind of putting it all together, over the review of literature. This actually came from my textbook that I used when I was in a very similar class that you're in right now. And I just kind of thought this was a good review, if you will, of the literature review. So I went ahead and put that reference there for you to read. And then there is the checklist for the literature review that you'll be writing. So all along you've been collecting resources. Even since I think during immersion we had recommended that you start looking at literature, start, looking for the gaps, looking for a possible study that or project that no one has done. So in that process, you have been gaining your literature. So now is the time you might need to beef it up a little bit more. So you're going to do even more research, or maybe you found all your resources, but now it's time to trim the fat. It's time to trim off what doesn't need to be part of your literature review. So again, a review of literature, a good one, probably about 20 pages or more. Okay, so this way, I hate to quantify a good lit review, but in order to cover all your bases and in order to really provide a foundation for what you're doing, you do need to comb through quite a few references. So, a ballpark is about 20 pages for a lit review. So this is kind of a meaty part of the chapter. That's why I'm giving you a couple of weeks. So you don't have to necessarily submit anything for Module 7, all right? Or excuse me, for Module 6. That will be done in Module 7. So that's whenever you kind of start putting all the pieces together, all right? So that way it gives you a little extra time to really be looking at the literature, figuring out what you want to put in there and what should be omitted. Then I would also like for you to review Chapter 4 of the Hebe text, and there is a quiz that is due in this module, so please take the quiz. And then in here I just have some information about level of evidence in case you've heard of it or come across it and you're like, well, what are they talking about? This is just one example of the many charts and graphs that you'll find about the level of evidence. So I just wanted to put that out there for your information. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do anything with it right now, but just have it in the back of your mind. There's actually, so I have an example here, and then I have another one from the Johns Hopkins School of Nursing, so you can kind of look at that. And then I have another one. So you'll notice they're all kind of a little bit different. This one has 7 levels, this one has 5, this one has 3. So it really, whatever you're comfortable with, I guess, more or less, whatever makes sense to you, is really all that's important. Okay. And then there's a neat little PDF here about demystifying research. Another YouTube about writing the literature review. So just some resources to kind of help you along the way. And, if you have questions, let me know. So obviously with your review of literature, you want to make sure that it circles back to your purpose of your project and make sure that it is applicable. So, if you're doing a project and then all of a sudden you're starting to talk about something that really isn't relevant to your project and it goes off onto a tangent, your readers will be left with, well, what does that have to do with this project? If you are reading that, or maybe you're giving it to someone else to proofread for you, ask them. Make sure that you are making those connections. If those connections aren't being made with your review of literature, then chances are that part of that review of literature should not be in your paper. So as time goes on, your chair, they will read this multiple times. They will give you feedback as far as what needs to be put into your review of literature and what should not, based on what you're writing about. Okay, so I just wanted you to know that, because again, this is like that draft part, right? This whole course is about that first chapter draft. We are making revisions in the meantime, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have a final project at the end of this semester. It's still going to be evolving. Right. So I think that pretty much covers everything that I wanted to say. If you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out and ask for assistance. If you're getting feedback from me and you're just like, wow, I'm really lost in what she's saying. I'm not sure exactly if this project is where it needs to be. I'm not happy with the feedback that she's giving me. Go ahead and just reach out to your chair, because your chair is going to be able to give you a little bit more insight, and maybe like provide a stronger foundation for your project. I'm kind of just looking at it from a very from the perspective of, does it meet the rigor of a DNP project? So I try to do that, and I'm trying to do that early on to catch you from getting too far into your project, and then your chair come back and say, you know, I'm not really sure this is the right direction. We probably need to beef this up more. I'm trying to prevent that. So, you know, but if you have already talked to your chair and your chair is fine with what the direction of your project, you know, go with what your chair says. So, again, I'm just trying to use the perspective of what level the terminal degree is at, and the rigor of the project. So everybody has different opinions, and you know, I just hope that I can offer some solid advice and maybe a good perspective on things, but I know that it may not always be the right answer. So anyway, with that being said, always check with your chair too. So if you if I've given you advice and you're just kind of like, this isn't what I had envisioned, bounce it off your chair. Let your chair know, and she'll be able to provide you with assistance. You can also share, you know, I don't have a problem with you as long as you don't mind if you share the feedback I provided to you with your chair also. So that way your chair kind of sees the perspective that I had. So anyway, I think that pretty much covers everything that I wanted to go over with Module 6. All of you are doing a really, really great job. Keep up the work. I know this is a very labor-intensive course. It does get easier after this. So hang in there. You got this. Let me know if you need any help with anything. Thanks. Have a good week.